Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Tracy, by the way, you missed the memo. Purple is the theme
Yeah, sorry. Yes,
today.
I didn't see I was supposed to wear purple today.
So our special guest today is Dawn Kane. She is the CEO of Hot Dish. Dawn is a seasoned marketing and advertising professional with more than 30 years of experience. She and her business partner established Hot Dish Advertising in 1999. Hot Dish is a full-service strategic marketing and advertising agency serving the franchise industry. Hot Dish supports brands on both the consumer and franchise development sides of the business. Dawn's goal is to ignite success and growth for the clients Hot Dish serves. Dawn, it's about time we had you on the show, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. It's about time I finally met you
I
ladies.
know, it's so great.
It's
We pass
insane.
each other in the hall all
Yes.
the time at various conferences, so it's so nice to talk to you face to face. So welcome.
Likewise. Thank you. Happy to be
So,
here.
Dawn, you are no newcomer to marketing. I really want to hear about this journey, what you've seen, what you've experienced, the changes I can only imagine have been tremendous. Tell us,
Sorry.
no, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and we're still seeing changes, and I think we'll continue to in the world of marketing. But yeah, as you mentioned, I started my career in 1986 in Manhattan, working for an advertising agency, and we were primarily a pharmaceutical advertising agency. So we worked with the likes of Glaxo and Sandoz and Pfizer and all the big names you can think of. We were literally doing mechanical boards. This electronic marketing was nowhere to be found. We were using job jackets and passing them around the agency. It was a wild time, to say the least. Not only being in Manhattan early in my career in the agency world, but doing business that way. I was really fortunate to be a part of the team that worked on the first direct-to-consumer TV spot for a pharmaceutical drug, working with the FDA and getting approvals all along the way. It was, gosh, it seemed like probably 10 years at the time, but it was probably close to a year of approval processes in getting, scripts approved and talent and everything that the FDA had to look at. And then, of course, the prescribing information and, highly regulated industry, not unlike franchising, maybe a little more scrutinized because lives are at hand, not although you could argue the same with franchising in some instances. And then kind of moving my career through, ending up here in Minneapolis is where I'm based now. We've seen tremendous changes, like I mentioned, moving from more of that mechanical type work and now electronic, and moving to the digital age from having done, print ads and direct mailers as our primary source of advertising, TV spots, now CTV, programmatic. We're constantly getting changes from Meta, I should say. So it was Facebook, now Meta. From Meta and Google, their algorithms, their, rejecting ads, accepting ads, not knowing what they're going to accept one day and reject the next day, or accept for one client and not the other client. So it's always game changing. And now we've got AI, right? Which is affecting everybody's world. I think, and has a lot of different components in which it plays not only into marketing, but into franchising. We've seen, I'm sure both of you ladies have sat on many sessions at conferences or podcasts and other things that talks about the way to use AI and incorporate it into your platform, whether it be hiring or in the sales process or helping develop content. But we also know that there's some pitfalls there, and we have to be careful and do our due diligence on all things that we are looking at, whether it be on the marketing side or otherwise.
Wow. This is like you put us on like a roller coaster from 1986 to
Yeah.
2025. And the world of marketing really has changed and evolved. And yet you're top of your game. So you've had to change along with that. Would you describe yourself as someone that enjoys learning, enjoys change? Or are you someone that's a little more hesitant and kind of dips your toe in? Just tell us about this whole personality of, okay, great, bring it on. I'll learn that. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, I love that you said roller coaster. I was thinking time warp, but
Yeah, that too. That too.
that too. When I think back, it feels like a time warp. But yes, I do love change. I'm not one to sit around and wait for things. I will say there's always somebody smarter in the room than me, and I love to surround myself with people who are smarter than me and more knowledgeable than me in those areas. They make me smarter by being with them. So I know I don't have all the answers, and I love to read. I don't always love to read stuff about business. I do, but it's not where I always want to spend my time. So I'm hoping that maybe I'm reading something on one particular topic and somebody's reading on something else, and we can collaborate and bring best in class opportunities to the table. And I think that's what we try to do at Hot Dish. Not only with our leadership team, but throughout the agency is we've got experts in different areas. And I think that's why we're successful. And like you said, just surrounding yourself with people that know more than you do and are, hey, have you thought about this? Or have you heard about this? And if I didn't, it's like, tell me more. Or what do I need to know? Because there's so much out there. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of different opinions as well as to what might be best for you in your organization. And I think it's really important to evaluate, all of the things that are out there and determine what's the best for you, your company, and ultimately your clients in order to be successful.
That's so true. There's so much information out there and there's so much misinformation. And then I think
Yes.
there's also another term like disinformation or something like that. So my question for you is, working with these large pharmaceutical companies, there had to have been so much due diligence. What do you take from that experience bringing into your marketing with franchise brands today?
Yeah, I think the one thing that the agency that I worked at in New York, they really had the process and best in class folks on their team. We had employed 3 physicians that worked in an ad agencies. They
Oh,
were
wow.
medical, yes, that
Wow.
were, best in class writing for the medical journals. They were published. They were very, very smart people that were top of their game. And they were reviewing all the work that we did inside the agency. We had people that did nothing but proofread those prescribing information. And like, you've seen them, you've had a prescription before. You take a look at not only the font size, but the amount of words on the page, but that's all they did. And they knew what they were looking for and they could bang through that work so fast. So I think it comes down to when you look at how that agency was structured and making sure that they were always involved in organizations and continually learning and growing as an organization, hiring the best they could to make sure that they were bringing, again, the right information to the table for their clients, because to avoid any type of litigation that's serious business in the medical world, as you know. And so knowing that and knowing how important that was, I like to think that that's how we built and staffed our agency. And I think, those organizations in the franchise space that, do their due diligence and are up on what's happening in the industry and the challenges that franchising faces, and helps their clients avoid those issues at any cost will be successful.
I just had this epiphany.
Mm.
When you were talking about a marketing agency, just the word agency feels like I'm an advocate, I'm coming alongside, I'm taking on things for you as a marketing firm, right? So I just had this epiphany of how powerful just that word is, agency. So that was just an epiphany, and now I have a question.
It's funny you say that. I never thought about that, but I just want to say one thing. We had a healthy debate. This is going back, oh my gosh, it has to be more than 10 years ago inside Hot Dish. And because we do more than like advertising, and
Yeah.
when you say advertising agency. And so there was a healthy debate, should we be hot dish marketing? And we're like, no, that just doesn't, that's not right. It doesn't ring right. And maybe in the back of our minds, it was like, no, we're an agent for you. We're here to support you and protect you and help you grow. Interesting. Just
Yeah. So,
interesting
hey, I'm
side note.
way off base because,
Yeah.
yeah, when I think someone who has agency, that's a level of responsibility that you are taking on. So, question to you, Don. If you had something burning on your heart or your mind and you had a message you wanted to get out to franchisors in particular, what would that message be?
Yeah, great question. We talk a lot about this. It's honestly, as we said earlier, Tracy, there's so much information out there. There's so many companies out there that want to help support the franchise industry, right? The industry is huge. And so we see a lot of companies, particularly on the supplier side, come and go. Many come and stay a long time. But there are a lot that come into the space thinking, oh, franchising, they've got to have, some great brands out there. I can make some good money. But they don't know all the new nuances of franchising. And there are a lot of nuances, as both of you know. And so my message would be to somebody is do your due diligence before beginning an engagement with a particular vendor or partner in any industry, right? You should be doing that, in particular in the franchise industry, because what I see, we tend to talk to a lot of folks on the emerging side of things, and I forget the number, they said it the other day at the FBN I was at, but the number of new emerging brands that come into the franchise space each year. It's mind-boggling. Now,
Mhm.
not all of them make it, and there's a number of reasons why that both you and I know, but some of that is because they have not done their due diligence before, unfortunately, signing on with some of these partners or suppliers or vendors, whatever you want to call them. And they give them not great advice and not great information, and it costs a lot of money. And unfortunately, by the time they get through with them, with that vendor, they've got no money left and they're no further along in the process of getting that business stood up in order for them to be a successful franchisor that can support, because they have to be able to support their franchisee system, and therefore they fail. And I think that doing your due diligence, whether you're an emerging brand or even an existing brand that's been around a number of years and you're moving into a new area, make sure you're doing your due diligence on the different types of partners that are out there. Talk to their customers, talk to clients that have worked with them side by side, get a better understanding, and maybe they may still be a good partner or a good opportunity for you, but maybe even from a cultural standpoint, they're not a great fit, because that's also important. I think the one thing that I love to see, and we're very fortunate at Hot Dish, is that we have long-standing relationships with our clients. And there's a reason for that, right? It's because you do the right thing, you establish those relationships, but also culturally, we vet them just as much as they vet us. as we are looking at them from a new business opportunity, right? We want to make sure that they're going to be a good fit inside our organization, because somebody that's going to, try to bulldoze through or treat our employees maybe not the way we think they should be treated, it's probably best they go work with somebody else. It's not that they're bad people or they don't have a great brand. It just isn't a good fit for us. So I think doing your due diligence, probably on both sides of the equation, is a good thing.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this concept of due diligence. What does it look like? Is it a track record? What are the questions to ask?
That's a great question. I think it probably varies a little bit based on what you might be looking for, but I think as a company or an individual, before you go out to even find who you're looking for, it's probably important to put down a list of questions. Yes, criteria that you're looking for, questions that you have, you know, pros and cons, and then keeping track of those conversations, right? The pros and cons of each of the potential partners that you're vetting. I would ask for, some references. Obviously, they're going to give you references of people they've had success with, but you may want to try to do a little digging around and find out who did they work with that maybe it didn't work, or even ask them. I've had potential clients ask me, "What, have you been fired before?" Of course. Why? And I'll tell them, and I'm friendly with some people that have fired us. I have fired clients too. I'm not afraid to do that, and friendly with some of them as well. And they were for the right reasons. So I think, had the due diligence been done up front, maybe we wouldn't have engaged in some of those partnerships, and vice versa. I think understanding what you want, what you're looking to get out of the relationship, and then to your point, the longevity that those organizations have had in the industry. And just because it's franchising, depending on what the issue at hand is, maybe they don't have to have franchising experience. Maybe they do. It really depends on your specific needs set, I think.
I like these points, and Tracy, that was a really great question. It really does boil down to having a set of criteria and making sure the vendor or supplier is able to meet that criteria. It's about fit culturally. Do I like this person? Is it someone I can see working side by side with? And then checking references and longevity, all of those things, no matter who the suppliers. I think that's beautiful advice. And one thing, we've been running in the same circles for years, Dawn. And one of the things I notice about you is how many people you know and how many hugs you get at a conference, and how many people are chasing you down, whether it's for information or just to say hello. And I guess my question around that is this a theme in your life? Are you just naturally a connector? Tell me more about that part of you.
Um, I would say yes. I think people that know me would say yes. Um, I think it probably stems actually, I know we talked briefly about this earlier, but as I think back, I think I get it from my parents. My parents are very, very much that way. One of my sisters is very much that way. We used to joke my dad was the mayor of the town. He wasn't the mayor, but everybody knew him. Everybody knew him. I'd walk down the street, they're like, "Hey, you're Chris Kane's daughter." Like they knew us. But yeah, I still have, oh my goodness, probably 50 close friends from elementary school and high school that we still get together. And yeah, it's amazing. But I have found that, if you're open and you're honest, and I'd like to think that I'm kind, and like to meet new people and understand what makes them tick, what they like, what their challenges are, et cetera, in the real world translates to the business world, right? And as a business person, I think the more people we know, the more open we are to, again, like we talked about earlier, learning from others. I may not be able to find a solution for somebody that comes to me that's asking a question, but I probably know somebody who can, and I can help facilitate that conversation. And I love being able to do that. I love the fact that people reach out to me for those reasons. And um, I I would say on any given day, or at least every week, I get contacted by somebody
Mhm.
for, hey, do you know somebody? Or can you help me here? Or my son needs this. Do you think you can talk with them? And I lean on people the same way, right? Because that's how we move forward, right? And having those relationships, having the ability to connect and grow and learn is really important. And I know I've said this before, but I've been fortunate enough to be a mentor for others. And I feel like as much as hopefully I'm giving them some guidance and things to be thinking about to help them grow in their career, I'm also learning from them because we all bring different experiences to the table that gives you I hadn't thought about it that way. That's really interesting. I like that. Or again, a different application for something that maybe you've never considered before. So I think constantly being open to learning, meeting new people, remembering to listen and not talk all the time, which sometimes I forget to do, is really important.
Yeah, that's a tough one for a lot of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you're like this beautiful combination of connector and conduit, right? A conduit to others and information, and just this open, receptive connector that you are. I was actually reading your LinkedIn, Dawn, and you've been a volunteer with the Rotary Club for quite a while. And there's one program in particular you've spent some time with, Camp Enterprise, is that right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
just give us a little bit about what that and why something that's literally outside of franchising and how that blesses you and blesses others.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was in DECA and Distributive Education Classes of America. And so it was all business. And we kind of had a little club. It was classes, but then outside of that. And you competed statewide and you learned all about business and from various aspects, whether it be marketing, operations, the finance side of things, hiring and training. And so we all played different roles in that. And that's exactly what this Rotary program was doing. And so they had reached out to some folks in the community to see if we would be kind of like we did some speaking and then sat down with groups in different pods and let the students ask us questions so that they could build their program, which they would then go on and compete with other Rotaries throughout the state. And so that was an incredibly rewarding opportunity. And then more recently, and I'm terrible about my LinkedIn, so I'm embarrassed that this is how I'm getting. It's a reminder that I need to update. But I also helped through my kids' school here in Minnesota at Wayzata High School. They have a DECA program, and I just loved that program. I feel it was the reason I went into the career I did, into
Wow.
advertising and marketing. It really had a big impact on me. And anyway, they had a need for judges. And so I was fortunate enough to be help judge for the school. And it's a huge school district here in the Twin Cities. And I did that for several years. And so things like that, working with young people and hearing their passion and their excitement for business and wanting to advance potentially their career in that way, I find very rewarding.
That's amazing. I didn't have business classes in high school. Rebecca, did you have business classes?
I had a business law class in high school.
Cool.
Um, And I still remember the professor and everything. I have a poor memory, just so you know, Dawn. For me to remember a class or a teacher, it was a huge impact. But to your point, Tracy, why aren't we doing more of
Right.
this at the high school level? DECA has done a great job over the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
But if you're not part of DECA, are you getting any other
Right.
inspiration, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a
I
good
do love hearing now there's more of the franchise programs that are moving into colleges and
colleges for
universities.
sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I love that. It would be amazing to see that roll into the high school level, right? As we talk about, business opportunities, because it is such a great opportunity for people, whether you're wanting to do something on your own initially or not, looking at the model itself of franchising. I think there's so much to learn from that. And so it would be amazing to see that roll down into that high school level.
Truly.
I agree. And I know there's several franchisors that you know, and I know Shelley Sun being one of them with Bright Star contributing to some of these programs. In
Yes.
her case, the University of Tennessee at Knoxville with Cordell Raleigh and the University of Texas at Arlington. There's several programs, and even in Colorado. I think these are beautiful. And so hopefully we have the next generation of franchisees more edified than the baby boomers, where we kind of fell into it. We kind of fell. So Dawn, tell us about Hot Dish and who your ideal client is and the services that you provide. What gets you excited?
Oh, yeah. So Hot Dish, we are a full service agency that works with brands to help strategically, depending on where they come in at, right? So we love to work with brands where we can help position them strategically for growth. As you said in my bio, we like to ignite success. We celebrate the wins of our clients. So we support brands on the consumer marketing, on the franchise development. So as you ladies know, helping brands find more franchisees to join their system. And then more recently, within the last year, we launched B2E, which is, we call it business to employee. And so creating campaigns for presenting the opportunity for employees to come and work at the franchisee level, not at the franchisor level. So obviously being, aware of the joint employer issues that are out there. So not taking on any of that risk, but giving people a reason to want to come and work for, maybe a handyman business, or more importantly, on the home service brands is really where we see a lot of challenges, as well as in QSR, although I think things have gotten a little bit better there. But getting folks to see that this could be a viable career opportunity for me, and there are growth opportunities, and hey, maybe someday I could own something like this. So launching campaigns that speak to those folks. So really surrounding the franchise model from growth at the individual franchise place, the consumer side, and then helping them bring in employees, because we really believe in a connected brand strategy. And so brands that understand that and are really looking at their brand as being, one that has the growth model, growth minded. Yeah, that whole
Holistic,
picture.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so we don't always work with brands on all three of those. We may only do one, we may only do two, and it doesn't matter which two they are. Whoever's left out, we still talk to, right? We have to understand what they're doing and understand how they're talking about the brand. If it's on the consumer side, so that we are, carrying over those brand standards and making sure that there's some consistency, even though the messaging strategy and the targeting strategy is very, very different. They still have to feel like it's the same brand, right? And so that's really important. So clients that are good for us are clients that are, they typically have a marketing person in place, they've got a development person in place, and they're somewhat in lockstep, although we know oftentimes the marketing person tends to focus a little bit more on the consumer side, but that we have a good relationship with them so that when we need things and that they are reviewing things, they understand a lens to look through that. And we understand where their need set is and are not overstepping bounds there. So it's really kind of having that communication back and forth with whomever our client is. The more feedback we get from our clients, the better we are. And so I think that sometimes is a challenge, getting good feedback, especially in the world we live in today, which goes back to how things have changed, right? We would go 2-3 months sometimes after a campaign ran to find out what were the results of that. Like, did we see a lift? Where today we can very quickly see how the campaigns are performing. And so the more conversations we have around that, we can only see so much inside the CRM. Once we hear from the client, like, oh, I had this great conversation and this is what it was about and this is their background, we can optimize things very quickly and then make the campaigns work more efficiently and effectively. So having that great partnership, communication, mutual respect, the core values that we shared, that we talked about earlier, and just really believing in the brand. I mean, there are some brands that have contacted us and we're like, sure, we want to work with that kind of brand. So we've chosen not to, and that's okay. There's a lot of work to go around.
Dawn, do you have a favorite success story that you could share with us?
Well, I'll say kind of unheard of. I have a lot of great success stories. We've been very, very fortunate. And I'll tell you, we have some of the best clients that are out there. They're just really wonderful, wonderful people. But Tropical Smoothie Cafe, we're very proud of that partnership that we've had. They've been a client for, I'm going to say 14 years.
Nice.
In the agency world, that's somewhat unheard of. And they've been just an amazing partner for all the things I just mentioned. And with that, through a lot of transitions, they've been through, I think now their third private equity partner. There's been changes at the leadership level along the way, multiple times. And we have continued to help that brand grow, again, because of their ability to communicate with us and share what their goals are. And trust me, there's been times along the way where we've had some of those hard conversations. It's like, are we sure that we're doing, like, have you considered this? And but there's that mutual respect and we work through those issues. So I believe I might be off a little bit on my numbers here, but I believe when we started with them, they had about 200 locations, and I think they're over or pushing 1,500 now. And so it's really been a wonderful story. They were a regional brand and they were really focused on, and so I'm talking Fran Dev in this particular case, they were focused on, just single unit operators. But through that partnership, as we work together, we recognized, okay, we're at a different level now because of the financials and the returns that they were getting on their locations, because they were constantly on the operations side working on how do I make my franchisees more profitable. Again, they're a great client because they're working both sides of the equation. They're not just selling, they're fixing the things that need to be fixed so that their franchisees are more profitable, which changed the numbers. And then it was like, oh, now we can go after multi-unit operators. And so it changed the whole dynamic of the campaign and strategy and targeting. And so that's one of our favorite stories we love to talk about.
That's great. You elevated their direction to a certain degree, or their focus of what they were looking for.
Yes.
From the single unit to the multi-unit. Nice.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and it speaks to what we've been talking about, which is the franchisor evolved and changed. Some of that was due to private equity and things of that nature, which also meant your agency had to change to accommodate that and take them to the next level. So change is inevitable especially in franchising when the growth can be quite substantial and your strategies have to change along with that. Even as you pointed out, the ideal franchisee has changed in that
Yes.
the persona has even changed. So question, how do people that want to learn more about Hot Dish or Dawn Kane, how would they do that? Where would they connect with you?
Yeah, they can connect with the agency at hotdishad.com or info@hotdishad.com. They can contact me directly at dkane@hotdishad.com. AD. Don't go to hotdish.com. It won't go through. I'd be more than happy again to have any type of conversation. Like I said, I may not be able to help you, but I could probably find somebody who can. I love meeting new people and just being able to support the industry. Very, very passionate about the franchise community. Just absolutely love it. I know we chatted earlier. It's like people that we've met along the way have become friends and family. They started out as a client or, just another vendor partner that you end up standing next to at a trade show. And next thing you know, you're, traveling somewhere together for a personal trip. And it's such a wonderful, rich community of smart people. I think the other thing that ties us all together is the passion that we have. I see it with both of you too, on, the business and the people and the industry. And I think that just speaks volumes to the community, which I think is, again, why it draws so many people, why we see so many emerging brands and all of that. People want to be a part of this, but you have to be ready for it. So be ready for it. We'll tell you if you're not, right?
Especially if you've done your due diligence, right?
Exactly. Do your due diligence. Do your due diligence. You may not be ready yet. You might need another year or two under your belt.
That's right. So you have so many beautiful messages here that we could talk for hours and hours. One of my big takeaways today, Dawn, is how marketing can be used to position to acquire, the right employees. I never thought about that, how you speak about the culture and the values and, what that franchisor is and what that franchisee is in the individual locations or territories. I never considered how important that is to get that message out to future employees. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate you hitting that hard for us. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. I think one of the things, I'll just add to that because I don't think I touched on it. When we talk about that, that circle, the connected brand strategy, your employee really is the first point of contact that they have with the brand. So if you bring in the right employee and you train them well and you educate them well and they share your core values and they're excited to be there, you can gain a customer for life and a customer that then refers other customers to your business, which increases the franchisee's profitability, which then makes the franchisor, easier for them to sell more franchises. So when you put it all together, it just makes sense to have it. Yeah, right.
It's absolutely brilliant. Ironically, we interviewed someone, Tracy, just the other day, who was an employee first of a company, and then she ended up buying the business and then becoming a multi-unit operator because she loved all that it represented. So thank you for being here, Dawn, with us today. I really appreciate it. I know it's a lot of time out of your schedule, but we were able to wrap you up at least for a few minutes. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. I enjoyed our time together and look forward to seeing you next time and not passing each other in the hall, making
That's
time
right.
to
Next time I'm
sit down
getting a
together.
hug.
We're gonna make time next time. How about
I'm gonna
that?
get in line. I'm gonna get in line for those hugs.
No.
Tracy, any final words, ahas that you
Yes.
come away with?
I'm going to tell you my favorite part of the conversation was the part about agency, right? And responsibility.
Yes.
And the thing is that Dawn, you have such great energy that like I get right through my computer screen, right? I do. I get really good energy from you. And I was thinking, right, if I looked up agency in the dictionary, I feel like your face would be there. I feel like a picture of you would be there, right? It's all about
Amazing.
accountability, the adaptability, the responsibility, the resourcefulness. And plus, on top of that, you're completely delightful.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'll take that all day long. You made my day, probably my week.
Aw.
That's
Thank you,
awesome.
Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
I echo your sentiments.
Yeah.
Again, thank you, Dawn, for being here, and thank you to our listeners. Make sure to like, comment, share Dawn Kane's interview. It's going to inspire a lot of people. And of course, we'll see you next week on another episode of the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged.